Mike, the next question I had was about the gold to silver ratio. Speaking of relationships, and I sort of joked your commitment to the cause. Your hair's changing color with the gold to silver ratio over the years. But
yes, it's becoming a lot more silver.
But it's recently gone out over 100, which a lot of people didn't think it would get to. I mean, I've kind of got this theory that
I said it was going to go to 100, but you know what? Now I think it's going to go. It's up at 120. I think it could go to 150. But I still, even though I think it could go to 150, I still buy silver, knowing gold may outperform it in the short term. Because when this reverses, I think it's going to be vicious and very quick. And so I still will not allow myself to buy gold, even though that's my instinct. You hear all this bad news, you want to buy gold. But at this ratio, I mean, you look at it historically, and here's what's going to happen. Gold will outperform silver in the panic phase of this, and then there's going to come a point in time, once gold passes $5,000 an ounce, and it will, I mean, in my opinion, $10,000 is like a stupid low price for gold at this point. And the more currency they create, the higher that number goes. And that number doesn't mean anything. It's how much stuff can you buy with it. Gold is undervalued compared to land, compared to the currency supply, compared to the stock market, compared to real estate. There's just almost nothing that is undervalued compared to gold, except silver. I mean, it's way undervalued compared to gold. But once it passes a certain point, just like happened in 1979, gold was outperforming silver. And then once gold passed $400, back then in the United States, the median income was less than $10,000. It was like $9,300 or something like that. So a guy rushes into the bank, and he withdraws $500, rushes into a coin shop and says, I want to buy gold too. And they plop one coin in his hand. And that's the point where he goes, oh, is that all I can get? And says, how much is the silver? Oh, well, you can get 50 of those for one. Give me the silver. That's the point where silver takes off like a rocket. And it went to a 14-to-1 ratio when they peaked in 1980. So silver's value was 1/14 of gold's. Right now, it's 1/120th. And the history is the first couple thousand years that gold and silver were money. It varied depending. Alexander the Great tried to peg it at 10-to-1. That fell apart. But it varied between 10-to-1 and 20-to-1, depending on where you were on the planet. But the average was about 14 or 15-to-1. And here we are up at 120, and it's only been out of whack for the past century and a half, ever since we went off of the bimetal standards. So it's the late 1800s when we came across the Comstock lode, the Silver Valley in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. The Comstock lode just barfed out this immense quantity of silver in a very short period of time that silver's value plummeted compared to gold. And so what you're going to see when there is monetary demand, when people are buying silver because they're turning back to money, when gold becomes a little too expensive. But in the meantime, I think you could see 150. It's entirely within the realm of possibility. But then when it reverses, it's if you own silver and you bought it at 120 and you sell at you convert your silver into gold, some of it at 40, at that point, let me see, at 10 you would be getting 12 times, at 20 you would be getting 6 times. So at 40 you're getting 3 times more gold than you paid for. And then you do another tranche if it hits 20, sell another amount. This is my plan. I've got tranches sort of mapped out. Yeah. And hopefully it goes, I believe that you're probably going to see it surpass that 14-to-1 ratio. It might go down to 10. Can you imagine getting 12 times more gold than you paid for?
All I was going to say is I think it's getting dragged down at the moment because of that industrial component. We're seeing, copper, oil, the economy's going into recession. There's going to be less in solar panels. That's the thought process. And then as it flips, It's the
Yeah,
same
except
unit
about
biases.
60% of the supply comes as a byproduct from mining copper and zinc and lead. And so when that supply goes away, just when everybody wants silver, and this was in the book, and that's going to happen.
It's the same unit bias we see in cryptocurrencies. When people want the thing that's cheaper, that's why they're going to go to silver when it's got that monetary premium. Yeah. Well, Mike, I think that's everything I had today. It's been amazing. Is there any topics that you think we need to touch on for people at home? I'll put the link to get the free book down below as well.
There's no topics. Just go to goldsilver.com, get the free book. We have a tremendous news page too.